Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. I want to start off with my favorite scene about two characters that I don't even know how to sit there and describe it, but I actually enjoy seeing them together. Surprisingly. Now, if you have been watching Soap Sanctuary's channel, you know he's been shipping the whole Nina and Sunny thing. And while in the beginning, when he kept doing it, I was like, bro, we cool, but we we ain't on the same we ain't on the same page about that. We not we weren't. But today, I don't know. I and I cannot believe I'm actually Smith is saying this, and I'm probably gonna wind up regretting saying this down the line. But I actually enjoy seeing those two together. I I I I did, and I don't know. Was it so much of the fact that I'm just used to seeing Carly and Sunny always together, so seeing anything other than Carly and Sunny being together is interesting. You know, it's interesting. It's definitely, I wouldn't tend to say a welcome change, but definitely something different. Um, I don't know. I don't want to sit there and say a welcome change because it is, and in itself it is because it's something new. Um, but Carly and Sunny, that's when I started watching the show, that pretty much was the standard right there. No matter who else they were going out with, at the end it was Carly and Sunny versus the world, have each other's backs 24/7, ride or die. That's where it was at. So I still feel a little conflicted about that, but okay. So Nina wakes up and she's like, where's Sunny? She starts looking around. She calls his name out and everything like that. And Sunny was actually outside in the freezing cold without gloves on because, well, let's be honest, he was having a manic episode. Talking about building igloos for the girls and, just kind of taking some electric and, kind of, putting some electric. I don't know. He was going to build some sort of fort or something. And Nina was like, you do know it's kind of brick outside, right? Like, I don't know if that's really a good idea, but Sonny is just really hyped about it, and that's when at first Nina tries to confront him about maybe you sit there and try to get your pills and stuff like that, and just was arguing with him at first. That didn't really go so well, and Sonny stormed off. He went somewhere. Nina realizing, yeah, this is I'm not really getting anywhere with him. She decided to call Britt, and Britt gave her some solid advice as far as to try to keep him calm, don't really argue with him, and if things get out of hand, call Sonny's men and get out of Dodge. Just kind of breaking down, explaining a little bit as far as like, what he may be experiencing and just kind of tread lightly. So, Sonny comes back and he's still kind of hyped about the whole igloo thing and doing the stuff for the girls. And one of the things that Britt said was, don't really agitate him, don't really get into an argument with him because he's not really in his right state of mind. Just don't do it. Keep him calm. So Nina pretty much did the opposite of that. You know, she started arguing with him. There was a point where Sonny was about to, was like, listen, he just got annoyed and upset, and so he wanted to leave. He wanted to leave, and Nina stopped him. When Nina got in his way, there's one point where, Sonny grabs Nina's arms, and I guess he was gripping them really tight to the point where it hurt Nina. And when she kind of, said she was in pain and stuff like that, Sonny stopped, and he felt really bad. Like he felt really guilty. I'm not gonna lie. There was one point where it's like I felt like how like I wasn't gonna sit there and say like I teared up, but like I felt that. That instant guilt, that instant regret, and it wasn't so much of Nina really, but of hurting women, giving this past, so like that came up, and it just hit him. And Nina was able to sit there and kind of talk him down a little bit, as far as trying to get him back on his meds. So she winds up taking him to GH, and Britt was there, gave him the room. Um, they were talking for a little bit, and once again, Sonny felt really bad about what he did to Nina. He was still a little kind of agitated. He didn't want her to stay. He didn't feel like he needed a babysitter, pretty much. So Nina was like, you know what? We ain't doing this again. So she decided to leave. Well, she decided to walk out, and Sonny, thanked her and everything like that. And afterwards, talking to Britt, Sonny was like, keep your mouth shut or whatever. I was like, bro, she's a doctor. I'm pretty sure she's not gonna, whatever. Um, Britt was like, listen, you're not gonna, if your family knows, they're not gonna sit there and hear from me. Now, at some point, Nina decides to go work out, do some yoga, kind of de stress because it was kind of a stressful situation. Of course, Carly's there, and at first she turns around, she's about to just leave, whatever. But then she stops, and, Carly says something along the lines of, oh, you're just going to sit there and just run off and leave again, and blah, blah, blah. Nina was like, yo, I ain't going nowhere. We ain't doing that again. But it seemed like she was going to sit there and say something to, it seemed like she wanted to say something to Carly, and Carly was like, well, I got something to say to you. This is after Carly had an argument with Ava about Avery being with Bobby, and you know she felt like, oh, you're pawning her off, because she called her grandma Bobby or whatever, and Ava was like, listen, she's not her grandmother because you're not her mother. And this is something that has pissed me off about Carly. It's one thing to sit there and love somebody else's child like it's your own, but it's another thing to sit there and know your place. And she perpetually hopped over that line so many times with Avery, as far as, Avery sent there calling her mama Carly and everything like that, and just like, always trying to make it seem like, she's your bio mom, but she's not your real mom. Like, that was sort of the attitude and just the way that she was going about it with Avery, and it was something that I just adamantly did not like, regardless of Ava and her past and everything like that. And we could sit there and go back and forth. Carly and her past. At the end of the day, Carly loves her children, and if the roles were reversed for whatever odd reason, Carly would be so angry having another woman practically try to make it seem like, oh, that woman is, yeah, she's your bio mom, but I'm you know, we know I'm your real mom, like kind of taking that place a little bit. And yeah, she was there saying, oh well, I don't exactly remember the words she was there saying. She was like, well, I love her like she's my own. I'm like, you do a little bit more than that. And to be honest, it. I'm not a fan of that. They're going back and forth from Brooklyn. Brooklyn is not there jumping in there, kind of defending Carly and stuff. And after Ava, there's one point where Carly was like, the reason why, Ava is over here is that way, Bobby could feel a little bit better after practically burying her brother. And, Ava was like, all right, yeah, I might have kind of overreacted a little bit. And she kind of did to some extent. But with that being said, she was like, you know what, I'm out. She made a call to Avery, talking about you can call me all the time. Brooklyn was not there asking Carly, was it as bad as, like everything that's going on? And, Carly was more or less like, I don't know at this point, which is kind of weird. I mean, they've been through worse, and I don't know. Let me try to explain this. So they've been through worse. So you can sit there and look at this situation and be like, well, it's bad, but it's not as bad as some of the other times. The problem with that is that even if you sit there and say it's not as bad, like, the fights or whatever is not as bad as the one that they're having right now. Those things do add up. And yeah, you can sit there and um, forgive and move on. But after a while, those arguments, all that stuff does start to add up, even if it is on a subconscious level. So that's why I kind of put, at first I was like, you know what, listen, I feel like some of this stuff is a little kind of blown out of proportion. Kind of debatable, but when you start adding up all their other stuff, and now this, yeah, it's kind of taxing. Not gonna lie, it's taxing just that they're looking at it now. So yeah. So Maxie goes on the trip to, with Felicia and Anna and Austin, to sit there and try to recreate scenes and see if anything sparks up new. Now, after a while, Austin does start to remember some stuff. He starts to remember that there was, a conversation like after he got knocked out. It was a conversation between two people. It didn't seem like it was like in an argument kind of way. Maxie's sitting there trying to be like, oh, are you sure you're remembering stuff right? This, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. Just that they're trying to do whatever she can to deflect, um, you know, Austin from trying to make sense out of, the confusing haze that's going on in his mind, pretty much. But after a while, Maxie feels like it's, you can just look at her face and you can just tell it's like, yeah, this dude's getting a little bit too close. You know, even when Maxie Smith there telling the story, there's parts where Austin Smith there contradicting her. So at some point, Anna leaves, and Felicia, I'm not gonna lie, I don't exactly remember where she goes. She goes somewhere. Now, I'm not gonna lie, because this episode just had a lot of stuff in it. Um, but it looks like, and I don't remember if it was this episode or the previews, but it looks like Maxie's gonna have to sit there and tell, Austin the truth, like kind of bring him into the fold, because he is starting to remember way too much stuff for Maxie's comfort, and after a while, you can just see the more stuff that Austin remembers, the more of a contradiction, or the more stuff that it contradicts Maxie's story. So yeah, I feel like tomorrow may be the day where Austin gets put into the fold. Now, while those other two can be put into the fold as well, as far as Felicia and Anna, plot. Valentine and Martin run into Chase and Bailey, Louise, whatever you want to sit there and call her at this point. And at first it's kind of cordial somewhat. Valentine comes over and says hi and see how she's doing and stuff like that. Um, but Martin sits there and tell. Now, at some point, they're talking about Brooklyn, and Martin sits there and informs her, "Oh, by the way, you're still on the you're still on the birth certificate, Valentine." And so Valentine's like, "I'm sorry, what?" So he walks over there to Chase and is like, you do realize that I'm still on a birth certificate, right? Like, I still have all those responsibilities and stuff like that, like, attached to Bailey." So Chase tries to make up some excuse, like, oh, she's just kind of busy, whatever. It takes a little bit of a process, but she'll get around to it. Valentine walks back, and, Mars like, oh, well, I'm see there's no bloodshed, so that's a good sign. Valentine's like, how long does that take to make that happen? And Martin's like, it's not really a long and hard process at all. So Valentine's like, yeah, there might be a good chance that Chase isn't the father. I mean, I took her word. what she said. Chase took her word for what she said. And Brooklyn is a perpetual liar. So, now he's they're starting to question, um, who is the real father of that child. And, again, this whole thing is just getting so out of control. Because if they would have told Valentine everything, he would have been pissed. But now he's digging more into this. And between them and Felicia and Anna, everyone that would literally sit there and lay down to protect that child is not clued in. And by them digging, all this stuff is making things worse. It's making it all worse, you know? But, plot, so, there's that. So at some point, Victor brings in, and I was like, I think that's about it, but nope, that's not it. Victor brings in the sonogram. And, he has the nurse sit there and take a look, to try to see if she can find, who does it belong to. I guess, either somebody, like a real, now I don't know if that was his bodyguard or if that was like a real patient, but they was like, oh, I need some blankets or whatever. So the nurse decided to step away from her station, which I'm just like, if somebody like looked at that and saw that, she might actually get in trouble. Anyway, he's about to sit there and take a look to see who the sonogram belongs to, but Britt stops him. They talk for a little bit, and Victor, informs Britt that he knows about the whole Huntington disease and everything like that, and they get into an argument, and of course Britt lies about it. And more or less, she just kind of walks away and tells Victor to, leave her mother alone and, well, leave her alone as well. So Victor makes a call, and he must have found out some sort of information because after that, he went to Peter's room and informed him that, hey, listen, I kept my end of the bargain. There was a quick chat between Britt and Peter as far as, her sent there telling him that you're going to be sent there going tomorrow back to Pentonville when you almost died of being poisoned. So good luck, bro. More or less. And the final scene, I assume, because they really cramped in those people today. Um, was the Spencer, Cam, Trina, Esme. Actually, you said her name right this time, I think. Esme and Jocelyn. I was like, damn, I forgot somebody. Anyway, they're on this whole skiing trip, and there's just a couple of times when Esme says something, and it's just like makes everyone feel uncomfortable. Like when Spencer was there talking about he's going to ski again. This is after Esme was like, "Oh, I thought you were going to do it," and Spencer's like, "Well, I wasn't, but the way that Trina was there talking about it, it was contagious or whatever. It just really made me want to do it." And he when she said contagious, Esme was like, you mean like the flu or the plague or something like that. And they turned around, and they just looked at her, and it was like, sweetheart, you weren't even quiet about that. You were just blurted it out loud in front of everyone. This is like, well, it's hard to actually sit there and recreate that scenario, but most people will sit there and say something under their breath. This chick said it at, well, at a volume that everyone can clearly hear. So when she turned around, she said something else. Everyone just looked at her like, "Sweetheart, we know what you said. You didn't even try to be quiet about it. I guess we're all just supposed to sit there and just forget what you said, right?" Okay, cool. So they go out and they go skiing and come back and they're all hyped and everything like that. And of course, Jocelyn and Cam were talking about tonight's night because for some odd reason we needed to know about that. Anyway, they come back, they're all talking, they're all having a good time. Esme once again says something to make people feel uncomfortable or to make Trina feel uncomfortable. And it's just one of those things where it's like, I'm not gonna lie, I felt like it was somewhat of a chore to actually get through their scenes, to be honest. Yeah, I really did feel like it was a damn chore. I just, it actually makes me want to watch Brock TV's review because I'm really curious about what he thinks about those scenes with Esme. Because for me, I can't. I know that she's pretending and she's not being pretentious, but every time she talks, it's just I'm like, you're killing me on an emotional level. Question: was Brooklyn scenes really necessary? I felt like they just kind of just shoehorned her in for some odd reason. I mean, I know it was for Carly to sit there and talk about her feelings and about and she doesn't know if her marriage is going to survive, pretty much. But it's like at this point, we already kind of get that sense. For most of the people who've been watching this for a while, or even if you didn't watch it and you go online or you watch my review or whatever, you can kind of get that sense. So it's like, again, was Brooklyn's presence really necessary in this episode? Um, I think that's about it. So, with that being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank everyone for watching. Be safe, and I will see you in the next video.